Here we go again, folks. We did a little excerpt a while ago on truth. Truth can carry you to a place called righteousness. God dealt with people as sinners and making them righteous by giving his son to die on the cross, that if a sinner man will say, Christ, I am a sinner, admit it, and say, forgive me of my sin, come into my heart and save my soul, he becomes a righteous, in the eyes of God, a righteous person. Now, it may take a while for him to put away much that he has learned and developed in his life that is unrighteous, physically. But inside, inwardly, in the eyes of God, he is a righteous person. And he's righteous in the eyes of God. We find that back in Noah's day, that the whole world was corrupt. They were given to sexual perversion. They were given to lying, cheating, stealing. They were given to cursing God and saying there is no God. And they were given to many things. But the Lord was looking around all over the earth to see if he could find a righteous man. Well, there was a thing in his mind that he said to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, talking about it. Let's just go ahead and destroy mankind that we have made and start over again. But then he saw that little flicker of light. One little flicker of light. And he came down and he found a man named Noah. And he found out that Noah and Noah's house in this generation, evil generation around him, were following the Lord. Were following God, were following the ways of God. He said, because of you, Noah, I'm going to spare this earth and use it again. So I'm going to destroy it like it is, and I'm going to use it again. And I'm going to use you to preserve what I made when I first spoke it into existence, and I made these animals. And I'm going to tell you how to build it, and you're going to build an ark. And you build that ark, and I'm going to save the animals that I want to of this world, and I'm going to save the generation of people, you and your family. So the Bible said that Noah found righteousness in the eyes of God. He's a man that had not cursed God. He's a man that had not cursed, period. He's a man that was had God in the forefront and brought his children that way. And then we go to the third book of the Bible, all the way through from Genesis through Exodus into Leviticus. And here's the Lord speaking through another man who God chose from his babyhood, from his birth. God chose this man. His name was Moses. And God chose him, made a way for him to gain a type of kingship in a heathen country. Here was a Hebrew amongst all of the Gentiles, and he became a spokesman of them in a sense of the word. And Moses demanded righteousness for godly people. He said, if you're going to serve God, you need to be a righteous person. We inside of us have instilled the devil comes and sows a wicked seed. While Moses was 40 days and nights upon the mountain, when he comes down, the people had given themselves over to what's called lasciviousness. This is what the world was before Noah came and did what he did in the flood. So Moses comes off the mountain, and the people out there dancing naked, doing all kinds of perversions and worshiping this golden calf. The same exact thing we see today. The things of the world are being worshipped. And that sexual perversion has become the norm for unsaved people. And it's getting worse. God came down and dealt with this in Noah's day, and he's going to come down again in our day. And he's going to demand, as a righteous judge, righteousness and righteous on this earth. Deuteronomy 6:25. The people had quit observing the law. And they had quit observing what God said for them to do. And the law that God made equates with the word righteousness. And righteousness equates with God. The equalizer to be God's son is righteousness. You get that through God. Then you have to learn how to bring your body under that. Job, one of God's greatest servants that ever lived on this earth, in Job 27:6, Job holds to his righteousness. He had lost all his children, his family, everything he owned. He was the richest man on earth. The devil stripped him of everything, and God allowed it. And he remained righteous through it all. Through the cursing of his friends, through them saying, hey, what about that God you got? What do you think? That God you got, what is he doing? That God you got, he ain't much count. If he's going to let you go through all this, you done lost all your camels, all your horses, all your chariots, all your everything you had. You've lost your whole family, your 5 sons and daughters. Job said, though he slay me, I'm going to follow righteousness. And he followed righteousness. Righteousness is the equalizer for every single problem in the world. Every single thing in the world that would come against you is equalized by righteousness. If you can stay in righteousness, you can lose your most important possession on this earth and still maintain the position of the importance of righteousness. You come to a point, you're 76, your wife's 73, you've had each other 55 years, you're just now saying, we can go out, maybe, and do a little something and enjoy each other and enjoy the world, enjoy some things together and do some things. And you wake up one morning and she's gone. Do you quit living? No. You kick yourself in the seat of the britches and say, what's done is done. What God's allowed, he's allowed. What his purpose in life is going to be is for me to buckle up and head out and do what he wants me to do. Righteousness does not fail. Do I have a right to fail? No. Do I have a right to put that missing part of my life ahead of God? No. That didn't stop Job. That didn't stop Job. It didn't stop many, many people in the Bible went through that. It didn't stop them. You know what David said when he lost his son? He said, I will not grieve, because now I know where he is. I can go when I leave this earth. He can't come back to me, but I can go to him. And he washed his face, cleaned up, and went back to work and did what he was supposed to do. In Job again, we haven't left Job yet. God answers Job in the questions that he asked. And he said, from the whirlwind, and ask, will you condemn me so that you can be righteous? God did not condemn Job. And God did not want Job to condemn him. God just wanted everything to be equal. And he said, go, Job, all this on earth to you looks like it's humongous. But in the kingdom of heaven, you will have 10 children. In the kingdom of heaven, you will have the works of all the righteousness that you've done on this earth will go up there and be in a treasure chest for you when you get there. You just keep holding true. And you will have forever. The treasure chest you're sending up now will be yours forever. You can open it up and get something out of it anytime you want. Wow. Psalms 1 and verse 5. Who can't stand in the congregation of the righteous? A sinner can't stand in the congregation of the righteous. This is what it says in Psalm 1 and 5. No sinner will be able to stand in the congregation of the righteous. Psalm 34:15. Where are the eyes of the Lord today? His eyes are upon the righteous. Where are your eyes when you come up to a light? If it's green, your eyes are fixed on it and you pass through. If it's yellow, your eyes are fixed on it and you start braking. And when it's red, you're dead stopped. The problem with us today is we've left the lights out of our life. So we don't know when we're coming up against something sometimes it's unrighteous and say, I just buzz on through here. The light was red. And you met with disaster. God's a gracious God. He'll help you through that and teach you not to do that anymore. In Psalm 37:25, David said, I have never seen the righteous forsaken. Whew. Have you ever read the story of David's life? How he's hiding in a cave and Saul's trying to kill him? How he's running from day to day, week to week, month to month, even years? And his best his best buddy that he had years ago is trying to kill him? And he says, I've never seen the righteous begging bread. And I've never seen the righteous forsaken. Psalm 92:12. This may not look like it every day, but the righteous will flourish like a palm tree. We will flourish. We will flourish. We will flourish. We will flourish. Hang in there. You know, God has some things that are secret to the majority of people. Who can get those secrets? Who can put the key in the box and open it up and pull the paper out with the secrets of God for mankind? A righteous man. A righteous man can open that box anytime he cares to and get the secrets of God out. Wow. That's a good one, isn't it? Let's look at Proverbs 4:18. If you're going to watch PH Tidbits, it'd be a good idea maybe to have your Bible out and flip to these. There are many paths in life that go many directions. There are some well-beaten paths in life, and there are some that are very, very scarcely trodden on. The path to righteousness is not trampled down. It's pretty lightly used. And very few people are using it today. But it is a path. And if we get on it, we need to stay on it. And what will happen is you will shine more and more every day. You will shine more and more every day that you're walking on this path of righteousness unto the perfect day. How do you stay on it? Get yourself out of the way. Get your flesh out of the way. Get your molly grubs out of the way. Get your old me's out of the way. Get your idea. Well, he didn't even speak to me. I walked by him. He didn't even speak to me. That's not a righteous thought. You know, maybe you didn't speak to him. You know, maybe he saw your stiff-necked attitude and said, I don't think I really want to speak to him. Or maybe he's thinking totally of something different and really doesn't even see you. You walked right by him. He said, I didn't even know you was here. I've had that happen. And I've had a man come up to me and say, you mad at me or something? You didn't speak to me. And I said, no, I didn't see you. Where were you? He said, I was right there and you was looking right at me. You can look out and not see. I've had it happen a dozen times. Be looking at a whole group of people and you ain't looking at anybody in particular. But there'll be somebody in that group that thinks you ought to be looking at them, and there's somebody in that group that thinks you ought not to be looking at them. So the mind of man is a complex thing, and it'll cause you problems that are unrighteous. And we're talking about righteousness. We're going one day to the perfect day. On that path of righteousness that shines forevermore is going to wind us up in the perfect day. Proverbs 1:11 and 4. righteousness is what delivers a man from death. Again, I say, the very first act of righteousness is when you say, Jesus, I'm a sinner. Forgive me of my sin. Come in my heart and save my soul. That's your first act of righteousness. After that, all that you can do, you can have righteous days. You can have days that don't look righteous, but will come out righteous at the end. So, that's Proverbs 12 and 13. Righteousness delivers from trouble. As tough as life was for Jesus, he never had a day of trouble. He was completely committed to God to hang on the cross. He did that free and willing. He didn't have to. You see, that was a terrible day of trouble for him. No, it wasn't. He went to the garden the night before and he said, I commit myself unto you, Father. He committed himself unto the Father. Are you committed to God? Are you committed to this Bible? Are you committed to the righteousness of this Bible? Where, like in Proverbs 20 and 7, it says that righteousness blesses one's children. I have tried since 1972 to gain righteousness with God. And I see my children blessed. Those who want to be blessed that are of my, that came out of my loins are blessed. I have one child I adopted. He didn't come out of my loins. And he's in prison. He decided he did not want to follow the rules of righteousness. That he wanted to follow the world and the devil and the dope trail and the lying, stealing, cheating, and doing all that. So he's living that kind of life. In prison, out of prison, in prison, out of prison. In prison, out of prison. Terrible, terrible, hard, unrighteous life. That's his choice. It's choice. And so we need to be careful here too. Proverbs 29:6. This I want for me. I want to be of a joyous heart. I want to be in a life of merriment in the Lord. Merry in the Lord. Just merry in the Lord. Just happy, merry. Whatever comes down the pike, just happy, merry in the Lord. That's what I want. Isaiah 3 and 10. The prophet says it will be well with the righteous, and they will eat the fruit of their doings. What's he saying? He's saying if you're righteous and you follow God, you will not be slothful. You will not be in need. I got the ironing board out yesterday, learning how to iron pants. I found out you don't just iron them just anyway. You find there's a crease in them. And you fold that crease down and then you iron it. And then to iron the shirt, I ironed this shirt yesterday. And to iron the shirt, how you have to pull it over the ironing board and iron the back and the arms and the legs and iron them with a crease in them and all that kind of stuff. Well, I've learned how to do the doings of a righteous man through long-term faithfulness in God. And He's the one that made me righteous, not me. I'm not righteous in myself. The only righteousness I have in me is the amount of God I allow to live in me, and He lives righteously through me. If I don't let Him live righteously through me, I'm not living righteously. So it's how much you commit to God that causes you to live righteously. Isaiah 53:1. This is where it prophesied, a place where it was prophesying Christ's wisdom. And how he, Isaiah says, that the righteous servant shall justify many. By him being righteous to his Father, obedient to the cross of death, the ugly cross of death, justified all after him who will accept his righteousness for their righteousness. That's a little piddly-pee on Christians. If a guy said, lay your hand down there, I'm fixing to cut it off. If you say you love Jesus, I said, yeah, I do. But he said, say it one more time. I love Jesus. Zap! Cut my hand off. Is your life righteous enough that you would do that? You would say, the guy says, I'm going to cut your hand off if you don't deny Jesus. Say, I'm sorry, sir, but you just have to cut my hand off. We may come to that day. We are at that day in many countries. Who were the saints in Isaiah 61 and verse 3? Who were those saints that prophesied, being called trees of righteousness? Who were they? They were those that were planting the word of the Lord. We today are to be those trees. Are you a great tree that's a shade over those in trouble around you? Or are you a tree that has thorns on it and people can't get up near you at all? Or you can't help anybody? What kind of tree are you? Are you a tree that bears fruit? Or are you a tree that some just go walk by and look at in awe and say, I wonder what kind of tree that is? The Bible said we're going to be known and read by all people. We're known and read every day by everybody around us. They're going to know us and read us. Some are going to say, hey, I believe that man's a true Christian. I believe he really, really believes what he believes and means what he believes and follows it. That's what I was talking about in righteousness. Do you know the righteous branch? Jesus was called the righteous branch all the way back in Jeremiah. Chapter 23 and 5. Jesus is prophesied as being the righteous branch of the tree. Oh yes, we were trees. And we were reborn what kind of tree we are now compared to what we were when we were lost in sin. Do we have that righteous arm of God sticking out of us? That great limb of shade and wonder? Ezekiel 36:27 made some promises. He promised a new heart, and he will put his spirit within us, causing us to be righteous. The righteousness we have today is not of man, it's of God. And Daniel testifies of the Lord's righteousness in his works. All the way down to Romans 8 and 10. If Christ is in us, the Spirit is our life because of righteousness. Last but not least, the Spirit of God is where the righteousness lies. Are you righteous? Good question. Our time's come and gone. We'll see you next time.